Hey, Vince.
Hello, David. How are you?
Good, buddy.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you, Vince. What do you know?
Beautiful day.
It sure is.
Yeah. Tell me about building a bungalow.
Well, I wanted to be a painter, and that led to cinema, and then always in my house, growing up, my dad would have a wood shop, and so we were always building things, and so all the things kind of, go together anyway, so it just was like that.
Tell me a little bit about the Sthapatya.
Sthapatya Veda. Sthapatya Veda, there's the Vedas, and India is the land of the Ved. The Vedas mean pertaining to total knowledge. And you could say that Vedas are the laws of nature. And one of the Vedas is called Sthapatya Veda. And Sthapatya Veda has to do, I believe, with structuring. And so there's Sthapatya Veda architecture. There's all these things that a Sthapatya Veda house has to have. And one thing is the front door. When you walk out, you're walking absolutely due east. The only other direction is due north that's good. East is best. Then every single room, like if for cooking, that room is a certain size, certain proportion, and in a certain place in the house. Where you eat the food, certain size, proportion, certain place in the house. And then in every Sthapatya Veda home, there's a thing called the Brahmastan, the center. Brahmastan means the center of something. And then on the top of the house, there's a thing called the kalash. And it's a certain shape. It's very kind of elaborate. And it's usually gold. And you place it, I believe, above the Brahmastan, but I'm not sure. And so these things all, and I don't know that much about Sthapatya Veda architecture. I want to learn about it. So I don't know all the what the kalash does, why the Brahmastan, why these certain rooms are where they are, and what benefits it brings. But a friend of mine built a Sthapatya Veda house. And because it has a kalash on the top, and you can make them in any style you want, but it was enough of an oddity in the neighborhood that the neighbors all were watching it being built. And when my friend finished, he and his wife had a party, open house, to invite the neighbors in. And he had drinks and treats, and he was going around. He came into the living room, and there was a man on the couch who was crying, and he said, "Oh my goodness, what's gone wrong?" And he goes over and he says, "Are you okay?" And the man says, "Yes." He says, "I'm crying because I am so happy. I suffer from a certain ailment, and when I came into this house, all the symptoms lifted away." It's supposed to be super beneficial. Health improves, relationships improve, it's easier, it seems like the house is sort of transparent. It's so friendly to the human being. And it's a thing I think architects will get real interested in soon.
We're now in the process of having you design a Vedic bungalow.
Vedic bungalow, right.
And can you tell me about how you're incorporating those elements into your design?
Yeah, this little bungalow would be, it could be thought of as a one-person, home. Or it could be thought of as just a place to go and meditate. But it could have a little kitchen and a bathroom and a room and maybe some storage or something like this.
Okay. So my job is to help you go through the process of identifying those elements and getting them into a plan so that we can actually have the bungalow constructed.
Yes.
And what I need to do with you as we go through the process is have you identify the elements that you want to include in there, the approximate sizes of things, and we can come up with a design that will be reasonable in terms of its scale. And since it wants to be, I believe, a modular unit that can be constructed off-site and moved onto a site, we'd have to incorporate elements that would allow different doorway openings in different locations depending upon where east might be. So I want you to be able to put down on paper at some point all of those elements, and I'll just be the eyes and ears to try and get it turned into something that's a reality.
Maybe you and I both are going to study Stepancheveda architecture, because I can't design anything until I know a little more or a lot more. I just got to...
David, here's an original sketch you had
Oh,
done.
yeah. Now, so that there, it's not exactly...
Well, what I wanted to interject about that was you really, particularly with the Vedic architecture, you really need to start with the inside and decide what the layout's going to be, who it's for, how that's going to work.
But I like to think about the outside, too.
Well, you have to think about it as you're doing it, but once you've got your plan done, then you're in a position to start deciding exactly how the exterior is going to look.
Yeah, here's what I would like to build. This is not this one. This here is a big house. And I like the walls sort of sloping in. You see how they sort of slope in there?
Yes.
And kind of a long kind of train house. And so maybe the bungalow will be a smaller version of that.
Certainly.
Something like that.
And that the important part of the design process for you is to allow yourself to be free.
I would love to, embrace that freedom. And there might be some hope for a bunch of freedom, but there are these rules, and that's what I gotta learn those rules.
I did notice one thing when I looked through the elements of it, that there's a great deal of symmetry in it, and symmetry is a wonderful, relaxing thing, but there also is room for diverse elements coming together so that it's not just a complete box with punched holes in it where everything lines up. So those are the kinds of things you need to keep in mind.
There's
as well.
an architect, Stepancheveda architect, who called here one time, and the phone was answered Asymmetrical Productions, and he became quite excited to tell me. He said, David, if you ever want to build a Stepancheveda house, and this guy studied at, I think, Taliesin East or West, and loves, the Wrights, architecture, and he said, you can make an asymmetrical Stepancheveda building. So there's rules, but the rules are friendly, and so you can figure a way to make a cool looking building and still have it be, all the laws of nature supporting, life in there.
I'm a little concerned that you're worried about the process, and I want to try and dissuade you from those cares and allow you just to do the design process.
Sure. Okay.
And I would treat it as a painting. I would treat it as a piece of furniture. What do you want? Who's going to use it? How it's going to be used?
Sure.
Still want to do it?
No.